Coming up on Front Porch Politics.
So this is one of the biggest years in elections since we've been tracking elections.
The fight against misinformation this election year reaches new heights.
What you're not seeing right now is how easy it is to make 100,000 videos, each personalized.
Advances in artificial intelligence changing the game.
It's almost impossible for a democracy to falter without internal fighting.
But are we ready, or will we fall prey to those trying to upend our elections? Later, we head to Kansas City.
We used to serve around 300 families a month. Now we serve around 400 to 500 families a week.
Post-pandemic issues continue to impact cities across the country.
We had thousands of people who were homeless.
Housing and hunger don't get the same attention as issues like abortion or immigration.
We need to shake up the foundation.
But leaders in these cities say it's time to refocus our attention. Welcome to Front Porch Politics, the show that puts politics back into our communities. I'm Tim Boehm. Normally we do focus our stories in communities and away from institutions like, say, the U.S. Capitol. But this story needs to start here in Washington, D.C., where election officials are working to overcome misinformation this important election year. It was rampant in 2020. And now in 2024, there's artificial intelligence. I don't care how smart you are, what you're about to see is going to question what you think is real and what is not. At first glance, an election convention looks like a boring place to tell a story.
Bad actors using the ability to create quickly.
But in a story that will question what you see, what you hear might make it the most important story of 2024.
This is where we need to understand the enemy and we need to combat it.
The rapid rise of artificial intelligence raising the stakes to an all-time high.
Because the reality is that we don't really know what this technology is going to do.
What do we know? You will question what is real and what is not. I can even speak in languages that the real Tim has no knowledge of. And if there's one thing I know, the real me doesn't know a word of Japanese. And that, folks, took 5 minutes to create.
This is an AI-generated avatar of me that was trained with just 30 seconds of video footage using my normal webcam.
A world-renowned researcher.
I'm Toshi Andersu. I'm the director of the Emerging Media Lab. We're sitting at the Institute for the Future.
If the rapid advancement of AI has your head spinning, you're not alone.
I have to spend an hour every morning to make sure that my talk is not out of date or obsolete or missing really important new developments because things change that quickly.
Debate over the future tends to focus on extremes.
I think a lot of people are making a mistake and trying to decide, is AI going to save the world or is it going to end the world?
Artificial intelligence evolves every day, but it does have limitations.
It's great when we're trying to write a funny poem or rap song. That's really delightful. But when you try to use it for things like information retrieval or journalism or determining who gets a loan or who gets into a school or who gets a job, you start to run into problems. But generative AI has a whole new set of issues, which is it literally just makes things up.
Then there's deepfakes, these false videos or images that seem deceptively real. It hit the forefront when BuzzFeed and comedian Jordan Peele teamed up in 2018.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
It was created as a warning.
You see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time.
Important thing to understand about that demonstration then was that it took a team of computer scientists and weeks of supercomputing time that no one in the world has access to, or very few people, to generate that video. And it was very compelling. You can now do that on your cell phone for free. Anybody. For free.
In 2024, the technology now colliding with elections.
It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
This January, New Hampshire, a robocall went out to 20,000 voters 2 days before the state's primary.
Your vote makes a difference in November, not this Tuesday.
Sounds like President Biden, but it isn't. A hired operative created it with AI software in 20 minutes and it cost $1. That was audio, but creating videos is just as easy. Turns out you just need a phone or laptop, the internet, and a credit card.
Let's set you up with your own account here.
It was time to create my own deep fake and see how it works firsthand.
And you're going to just read a script.
Normally, we would steer away from showing you how to potentially use technology for nefarious reasons. But the truth is, a simple Google search leads you to a number of simple step-by-step options. Hello, I'm feeling confident and relaxed right now. First, I read a script into the webcam for 30 seconds. I'll smile and include natural and general hand movements.
Okay, it's going to be ready in a few minutes. So it's going to take a moment to cook.
It will literally take minutes. While we wait, let's head back to Washington, D.C.
And create an automated set of misinformation.
Josh Lawson directs the Aspen Institute's AI and Democracy Initiative. Before that, he was the head of electoral and emerging risk at Meta and Facebook.
We're going to see it, and voters need to be prepared to see it.
His first point, we need to think big.
And this is a year of a lot of global elections. 4 billion people globally are going to be ruled by the people elected this year. So this is one of the biggest years in elections since we've been tracking elections. And this is also the time whenever we've seen AI come on the scene in a major way. So
it's global, but it will shock you how much bad actors care about races in your own backyard.
Absolutely. U.S. intelligence has talked about the fact that Chinese intelligence has profiles on all of the state legislators.
Many of those posts spreading false information come from America's enemies.
In fact, we've had more disclosures from U.S. intelligence about Chinese interfering in local elections than we have in national elections.
Why, you ask? It's simple. They thrive on you fighting with your neighbors on social media.
The goal is that we take down ourselves. It's almost impossible for a democracy to falter without internal fighting. And because that's a known commodity, that's the biggest target.
Which brings me back to the elections officials meeting itself.
It wears on you. It's more wearing on the family.
Election officials are now targets of criticism and threats as misinformation spreads across the country. Kansas Secretary of State Scott Schwab knows personal threats well. As a lawmaker, he faced it when his 10-year-old son tragically died.
I've got letters say your son deserved to die because you're a Republican, and we look forward to killing you too.
I've been following misinformation and threats in my home state of North Carolina since 2020.
There are still a lot of folks who have not accepted the results of the 2020 election.
They are inundated with massive requests for documents trying to prove election fraud, accusations, crude emails wishing election leaders were never born, and yes, death threats.
The tone changed to making phone calls to our reception line, and at one point even indicated that someone would be murdered.
Roughly 60 of the state's 100 county election directors have now quit or retired in 4 years. Nearly 30 of those 100 directors will be leading their very first presidential election in 2024. The challenges now amplified by artificial intelligence.
But if there's an AI of me or an election clerk that says, due to X, Y, or Z, we're going to change our deadlines, that's where it gets to be terrifying because you're affecting voters and now you're absolutely affecting the election.
Guess what? It could happen easily if we let our guard down.
Let's generate something here.
Back in Palo Alto, my avatar is ready to go.
We ready for this?
And after typing a simple sentence,
"Hi everyone, I'm an AI-generated avatar of Tim Boyum,"
it was saying something I never said. But that's just the beginning.
How about Japanese? You know Japanese?
I do not.
Okay.
Within seconds, the AI version of me was speaking it like I knew it my entire life. If you pay more, the quality increases.
That was just an avatar. This is just creating videos with text prompts.
Next, in another program, Toshi literally typed in 3 prompts, starting with a request for a 60-second video.
Announcing that the upcoming election has been delayed by a week. Blame it on technical issues.
Another prompt reminded viewers to pay parking tickets before voting or face fines at the poll.
This is not going to generate original video. It's going to go in and generate a script, and then from that script, it's going to generate a voiceover and create that, and then it's going to go into stock video libraries and pull stock video clips to match and build out this video.
In less than 2 minutes, a dramatic video claiming an election was delayed.
Due to unforeseen technical difficulties, the upcoming election has been pushed back by 1 week.
And yes, it included the parking tickets.
If you've got any outstanding parking tickets, it's time to settle them. Why, you might ask? Well, failure to do so might result in unexpected fines come voting day.
Part of what I'm showing you here today is the ability of like how easy it is to make a video. What you're not seeing right now is how easy it is to make 100,000 videos, each personalized. So it's not just the ability to create a video, it's the ability to do it at scale.
It's easy to focus on the negative consequences of AI, but it can help too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, election officials are also looking at how can they use this to actually help people identify where the polls are, how can they have election information in every language that their constituents speak. Yeah. So it's really powerful in that way as well.
Frankly, it's how it's used and trusting where it comes from. But there's no question fighting off people with nefarious intentions will be critical. So what do we do? The FCC already made a move banning AI robocalls. In late May, New Hampshire prosecutors charged Stephen Kramer, the political consultant behind the fake President Biden robocalls, with 26 misdemeanor and felony criminal charges. In June, Kramer waived his right to an arraignment and posted bail. In numerous interviews, Kramer maintains he sent out the calls to draw attention to the need to regulate AI. The FCC also imposed a first-of-its-kind $6 million fine. But the challenges continue as AI tools grow and change literally every day.
There's a lot of states who are experimenting, and I think at this point, almost any idea is a good idea, but we have to understand that the worst of the bad actors know that what they're doing is probably unlawful.
You must govern. But I'm not sure government is prepared for a tech industry that is advancing lightning speed. This was not an issue 18 months ago.
Then there's the role of tech and social media companies where this misinformation is spread.
I think they're trying to get ahead. I think there's many people in these organizations that truly don't want to cause harm to the world. But you have to remember what is the kind of systems that they all exist within and the incentives within our kind of market-driven society do not necessarily align with human values and human needs.
Social media companies insist they are protecting users. Meta now requires disclosure in political ads when it includes AI-generated material.
I'm concerned that any underinvestment across TikTok and Meta and Google and all of the major platforms, but all the smaller ones too, the Discords, the Twitches of the world, that will substantially affect the way that we prepare voters for this. So I'm hoping that they invest in it.
If you're like me, you might feel like throwing up your hands and saying, I won't believe anything then. Turns out that attitude might be worse than misinformation.
Absolutely, because if you get to a point where you just decide to tune out, that does the work for them, right? Because then they don't have to mislead you. You're actually going to avoid facts because you're afraid of being misled. And that is corrosive on any type of democratic process, and it's going to undermine what we've tried to build here.
We often look to technology for answers, but in this case, we may find the answer in the mirror.
The reality is, generative AI is being created by humans, it's being deployed by humans, it's being deployed into human organizations and human societies. We have a tremendous amount of agency, and it is critical that we exercise that now.